Hello, welcome back to Metis IAS. So we have started our series on Panchayati Raj institutions. So we have already done the basic philosophy, why we are doing Panchayati Raj, why we wanted to invest a lot in panchayats. And then we have seen that what is the meaning of decentralization, where does the concept comes from, and how it is implemented in our constitution, in our political structure. So today we have to see that how the evolution of Panchayati Raj institutions took place in India. So complete evolution. So it was not at like in one night Panchayati Raj was established in India and it was constitutionalized. It was a series of committees which advised the government time to time that, or which recommended from time to time that we have to have a Panchayati Raj institutions so that the governance can be democratized and the service delivery can be improved and can be made quicker at the ground level, at the grassroots level. So here we are going to see that what were those several committees like from 1957. So we know that in 1952 community development program was started, right? So from there on, what happened was there were series of committees which analyzed whether these panchayats or these community development programs were working well or not. So from 1957 we are going to see up to the implementation in 1992 and 1993, that what happened, how it evolved, what were the various committees recommendations, over which the final conclusion was to give it a constitutional status. So what was the status before this? So the status before this was that panchayats were there, but they were under the act of state legislature and hence they were totally dependent upon states for their functioning. Whereas what drastically changed over these years was to give it a constitutional status where panchayats do not have that existential crisis, they are permanent and they have to continue working. So you have given them legal status, means devolution of power, as we have seen in our previous part. If somebody has not watched it, please I request you to go watch it. Again, the reason behind this is that you should get the complete clarity that why at all we are doing with this, why we are spending lots of our resources, why finance commission suggests that panchayats should have a separate budget or it gives a lots of grant to it. So the reason behind this is the philosophy, the idea why we want to do this, and we have done this already in our previous parts. Okay, so do watch it. Now today in this class, in this part, we'll start with all the committees. So the first committee was Balwant Rai Mehta Committee 1957. So as I told that in 1952, community development programs were already there, right? And in 1953, National Extension Services was there. So these were already running. Now, this committee was mandated with that it has to suggest that measures that can be taken to improve the democratic decentralization process. So the mandate was to review community development program and the National Extension Services program. What was the problem which the committee found out? What was the diagnosis? The problem found was that there was poor people participation at rural development. The committee found that people are not participating well in the community development program. So what were the recommendations? So the recommendations made were that there should be a three-tier structure. There should be three-tier structure where Gram Panchayat will be there at the village level. Then there will be Panchayat Samiti at the block level and Jila Parishad at the district level. Now this Gram Panchayat, which is at the village level, this committee suggested that this Gram Panchayat or the village Panchayat should be directly elected. This should be directly elected and there should be coherence among all these. And to maintain coherence, what he recommended was, or the committee recommended was, that the upper level, that means Panchayat Samiti and the Jila Parishad, they should be indirectly elected, because when they are also directly elected, so there will not be coherence because everyone will be working separately. So they said that these two levels should be indirectly elected. That means the upper two levels should be indirectly elected, while the below level, that is the Gram Panchayat, should be directly elected. Right. And the next thing what they suggested was that the planning and the development activities should be done by these bodies. Panchayat Samiti should be the executive body, while the Jila Parishad should be advisory. So Jila Parishad, the top body, should be advisory. Execution should be there at the Panchayat Samiti level. And the who will be heading this? So for Jila Parishad, it should be the district magistrate or the district collector, if we say it properly. So district collector should be the head of Jila Parishad, or should be, the correct word here will be Parishad. So he should be, is not again complete devolution, right? Because it is directly elected, both are indirectly elected, and again the executives have been given more powers, right? The district chairman has been given more powers. And apart from that, they said that there should be genuine transfer of responsibilities, adequate resources should be made available, right? So this was done. But however, there were certain lacunas, and we'll see in further committees that how they were changed over the period of time. So what happened was, these recommendations that there should be Gram Panchayat, directly elected Panchayat Samiti, Jila Parishad, genuine devolution of function, finances and authority, election should be taking place in every 5 years. So what happened was, these committees' recommendations were accepted in 1958. 1958 we accepted the recommendations, and in 1959 on 2nd October in Nagaur district the program was launched, the program was inaugurated. Rajasthan became the first state to establish Panchayati Raj, and following that was Andhra Pradesh, which again adopted the system in 1959. Okay. But again, the system was not uniform. There was no complete devolution of functions, finances, etc. It did not work as per the plan. And why? Because the panchayats always face the resources issue, always face the existential crisis because the elections were not regular and all. Right. So next came, after 1957, next came 1977. In 1977, there was another committee, that was Ashok Mehta committee. Okay, now in between this period, there were several studies that were going on panchayat systems that recommended or that analyzed the performance of panchayats. But the major committee next formed was in Ashok Mehta committee. And again, Ashok Mehta committee formed in 1977, submitted its report in 1978 and gave, so it was mandated to give the suggestions. Now what were the suggestions? There were the key proposals. The first key proposal was here to, instead of 3-tier system, Ashok Mehta committee recommended 2-tier system. Okay, so what were the 2-tier system? The first was the Jila Parishad. So Jila Parishad should be made at district level, and there should be Mandal Panchayat, which should be the cluster of villages, and the population should be between 15,000 to 20,000. Right? 15,000 to 20,000. So this was the structure, means at the gram level or the village level, the level was omitted and 2-tier system was proposed. What was the focal point? According to Ashok Mehta committee, district must be the focal point for planning and implementation. So again, it is not completely bottom up approach. It is top-down approach where districts are the main planners and implementers. So the focal point or the first point for decentralization under the supervision was at the state level should be the district. Next thing what they suggested was that political parties should take official participation at all the elections level. Why? Because it will again help in democratization. Why? Because what is the role of political parties? If you remember, political parties, they help in interest aggregation and representation also. They represent the interest of people. So if political parties, they represent the interest of people, then there should be more participation so that the interest of people gets more representation there, and they can be more democratic elections. So this was another feature. Next was that compulsory taxation powers for PRI should be there so that it raises the revenue at the local level, which can be invested or which can be used over there. Apart from this, regular audits was recommended. State government should not supersede the Panchayati Raj institutions. So it was said that if there is imperative supersession, means if state has to supersede Panchayat in any case, then election should be held within 6 months. If states are taking or withdrawing or suspending the Panchayats, so within 6 months, the next election should take place. Apart from that, Chief Electoral Officer of the state was mandated, or it was suggested that he should be there to organize and conduct the elections of Panchayati Raj. If you know that the Chief Election or the Election Commission of India is authorized to conduct the elections at national level, state level, vice president, president, but not the panchayats. So till now there is no concept of state election commission also. So what is the mandate? What is this committee recommending? Committee is recommending that under Chief Electoral Election Commission of India, there is Chief Electoral Officer also. So this Chief Electoral Officer should be recommended or should be organizing and conducting the Panchayati Raj elections. Okay, so this was the committee. However, again, due to the collapse of Janta government, as we see in 1977, after that the Janta government was collapsed, the action was not completely taken on Ashok Mehta committee. And thereafter came the Hanumant Rao committee, that was in 1983. Again, the mandate was to revive and strengthen panchayats post Ashok Mehta. Major recommendations here was district level planning should be there, empower district collector for PRI planning and execution. So main executing body here again is the district collector. Means if you see somewhere there is reluctance to give power to the democratically elected people of the Gram Panchayat and giving more power to district collectors, right? The centralizing authority. So the one who represents the center, or who, so there is reluctance at the executive body to give powers to the democratically elected. So the reluctance is that, if you clearly see, the reluctance is not only from, so there are 3 levels: union, state and local self-government. The reluctance is not only from devolution of power from state to local self-government. In district, the permanent executives which are there, they are also reluctant to give their power. Even they are reluctant to give their power. So, local self-government is facing issues of limited powers or not gaining much devolution, not only from states, means states are not politically willing to give their powers, even permanent executives are not willing. Because we are seeing that continuously that district collector is the one which is becoming more prominent here, right? And apart from that, there was one Dantewala committee which recommended that block level planning framework should be made, and from the blocks it should be given to districts. Even that was recommended here, that this integration of planning framework which should be made at the block level should be integrated with the district planning. Another important committee after this was GVK Rao committee, which was formed in 1985. 1985, again there was some kind of stable government which seriously wanted that panchayat should be made and there should be democratic decentralization. So mandate here was, so from 1985 you will see that there is major push towards the democratic decentralization going on. So mandate here was rural development, poverty alleviation, administrative setup should be built. And how come poverty alleviation could be successfully done was that the power should be devolved to the lower levels, so that the major chunk which is flowing from the union till the local self-government level and which is extracted due to corruption, that does not happen. So because corruption was also the main issue there, right? Because the money which was flowing, it was not completely going at the lower levels. So again, the finding and recommendations of this GVK Rao committee was, the first thing was that district should be the pivot of democratic decentralization. Jila Parishad should be elevated to key decision making body for all the district level programs. Another important feature was to create a district development commissioner. So in the previous we have seen that there should be district collector, right? So they are saying that district collector should be there, who would be handling the charge, chairman of Jila Parishad, right? Here the another person has been introduced who will be the CEO, means Chief Executive Officer of all the plans and the programs which are being done, that is the District Development Commissioner. So a post of District Development Commissioner should be created. The committee recommended that, and he should behave like the Chief Executive Officer of Jila Parishad, and his task should be, he should be in charge of all the development departments. Apart from that, regular elections should be happening, because elections, supersession by the states and suspension and not conducting regular elections was a main issue, which is later resolved by forming State Election Commission, which is mandated to conduct the election. So till now there is no talk of about State Election Commission, but everyone does recognize that regular election should be happening. And it also wants that the till now whatsoever the PRIs are doing, it is not grassroots democracy. Why? Because there is no grassroots democracy, because there is no complete devolution of power. There is due to bureaucratic alienation, because bureaucracy is the one which is holding more power. As I discussed here, that the permanent executive, the bureaucracy resists to give the powers to locally elected people. So even due to bureaucratic alienation, this PRI, which was thought to be grassroots democracy, it remained as grass without roots. And another main committee which was formed is LM Singhvi committee. LM Singhvi committee, the mandate was, it was formed under Rajiv Gandhi government, and the concept paper was released, that is revitalization of PRI for democracy and growth. So under this, a concept paper was to be released for revitalization of PRIs for democracy and development. And what were the major suggestions of this committee? The first major recommendation here was constitutional recognition. Till now we have seen that constitutional recognition was somewhere lacking. So here we said that there should be constitutional recognition of PRI. A new chapter should be added, and hence PRI should be given constitutional guarantees. And if they are constitutionally guaranteed, means they have to be built, they have to remain there, states could not withdraw them, regular election should happen, everything. Okay, so they were given guarantees. Just like in the federal structure, states have guarantee to be remained. So federalism is the basic structure. States should always be there because they are mentioned in the constitution. In the same way, the lower level, that is PRI, should be mentioned in the constitution if you want them to continue and work efficiently. So he suggested that constitutional guaranteed, constitutional recognition, protection should be there.